Hi, it's Sandy Wiley. You don't have to be a psychology major to know about Ivan Pavlov and Pavlov's dog. Today, we're going to talk about conditioning. Conditioning is a process of learning by linking two events that occur together, usually between a stimulus and response or between two stimulus. Now, in Pavlov's experiment with the dog, you have the dog food, and the dog salivates to the dog food. What Pavlov does then brings in a neutral stimulus, the bell. And when Pavlov rings the bell, the dog, of course, has no response. The dog only responds to the food. Then, when Pavlov rings the bell, at the same time he's giving the dog the food, the dog associates the bell with the food, and the dog salivates. So he does this a few times. He rings the bell, gives the dog the food, the dog salivates with the food, and at the same time he hears the bell. Then after a while, all Pavlov has to do is ring the bell and the dog will salivatate without seeing the food, because the dog has been conditioned. The dog has been conditioned to expect when the bell rings, he'll get food. See, it's a learned response. Now, that's your very brief psychology lesson for me. But what I want to go into more detail about, someone said the light is too bright. I gotta get this lighting correct. Someone said that my lighting is too bright. Don't shine a light in your face. It shows all your wrinkles. We've all been conditioned just like Pavlov's dog. And we've been conditioned since we were young children. Think about it. How are we conditioned? We associate things with boys, and we associate things with girls. We associate the color blue with boys and the color pink with girls. Now, you know when they do like a baby gender party where they're going to reveal the gender of the baby? I mean, those are kind of common now. A gender reveal party. Okay, so what happens in this gender reveal party is that the people are going to see pink if it's a girl or blue it's a boy. So they might fill, something up, I don't know, a piñata, and they hit it. And whatever falls out, if blue wrapper candy falls out as a boy, it could be anything that falls out in the color blue or the color pink for a girl. Now, I don't know where they came up with blue is boy and pink is girl. Who invented that? I didn't do my research on that. But you see that we're all conditioned. When we go to a gender reveal party, if they hit the piñata or whatever they do, I don't know what they do, and the color blue appears, they're going to know because they're conditioned that blue is always boy and pink is always girl. Now, growing up, it's not just that, too, how we can the colors. It's boys play with trucks and balls, and they're into sports. Girls like to do hairstyles and play with Barbie dolls and play dress up and do their hair and makeup. Girls aren't into sports. Now, with all people having all different gender roles and are associated, that's all blown a big bomb in the middle of everything, because now people might be born a girl, but that doesn't mean that they associate as a female. And people might be born a male, but that doesn't mean they associate as a male. Now it's different. Now it's not like that. See, people are growing out of that conditioning. I think it's a good thing, because I think when you condition children to associate that if I'm a girl, I have to wear dresses and play with dollies. I can't like sports, you know? Or if I'm a boy, I can't play with dolls, you know? My daddy will call me a sissy or a fag. You know, I don't mean to say those names. I'm just saying how wrong that is. So I'm coming on here saying that that conditioning is wrong. That's what screwed up people. That's what made people, because it shouldn't be, you know, a set of things for boys, colors, and, you know, like blue, or, you know, sports, or, you know, playing ball, you know, and girls only can play with dolls, boys can't play with dolls, and all this, you know, associated with the different sexes. It shouldn't be like that. But people have been conditioned into that, associating those things with boys and those things with girls. And we learn this very early in life. Now let's get back to Pavlov's dog. Little children are conditioned from their parents how to behave. Some parents, all they have to do is look at a child a certain way, and that's it, you know. They don't even have to say a word. What do you think happened? How did that child learn that response? Like Pavlov's dog. Okay, maybe the child was misbehaving and the parent looked a certain way before they beat them up. So the parents always looked a certain way when they brought the belt out, when the child misbehaved. So the child associates the parent looking like this with getting beaten up with a belt. So when, you know, the parent looks like this, then the child knows the next step is the belt. So then the child becomes conditioned to fear a look, because if mommy or daddy gives me a certain look, that means I'm going to be beaten, because all the other times before, right before I was beaten, I got that look. You know, I don't believe in conditioning like this. I don't believe, just like with Pavlov's dog, all he had to do is ring the bell and the dog was salivating, you know, just from the sound of the bell. He didn't have to bring any food out. You know, people do this in adult relationships too. Conditioning. Watch for it. You know, it's a learned response. You don't even know. I don't even think it's a conscious response. I think it's unconscious. You know, you don't even know when something like this is happening to you, because you're so conditioned. How many people here have been conditioned? I bet every single one of you have been conditioned at one point in your life, just like Pavlov's dog. We're all dogs. No, we're not all dogs. We've all been conditioned, you know, either in our childhood, especially in our childhood, through our teachers, right? We've been conditioned through our teachers, and later on in our relationships, we're conditioned, right? How many men thinks that, you know, the woman is going to take care of the kids, change the diapers, do the housework? That's a conditioned response. And the man goes out and pays the bills. And even though now all women work, right? They get married, they hold a job as well as their husband's holding a job. But they still been conditioned, even though they're working full time, just like their husbands, to still do all the cooking and the housework and the child care. I know that is, you know, dissipating over time, that more and more men are taking on those roles. I'm playing with the lights. um, more and more men are taking on those roles. So we gotta, it's very hard to uncondition a person or a dog, like Pavlov, that's already been conditioned, you know? It's much easier to condition someone than to uncondition someone to get to, you know. So I just want to make people more, wow, that light just went poof. I kind of like the bright lights, but one of my subscribers said, oh, don't shine that bright light on your face. What's wrong with bright light on my face? Anyway, so nowadays people are being less and less conditioned. I mean, and this can go through a spectrum of not just like in relationships. It is especially happening in relationships, but like with countries, third world countries, and in wars, and people have conditioned responses, and they can be quite dangerous too. These conditioned responses, they can think that if I see this, then this is going to follow, this is going to happen, and that's not necessarily the case. Like in trauma, a trauma response. Say a woman was. This is how prejudice happens. I have to be very careful what I say here because I'm monetized now. So I don't want to just pick any certain race or thing, and then people think, that's how I feel. Why did I say that race or this religion, whatever? So I can't. I'm trying to give you an analogy of what I mean about if you've been traumatized and then you're conditioned to feel that way. Let's say you always had bad experiences at the doctor's. That's pretty safe. You ever hear of the white coat syndrome? Well, guess what? I have it. If you always had bad experiences at the doctor's, then you have what's called a white coat syndrome. And so every time I went to the doctor's, my blood pressure would go sky high. All right? They wanted to put me on medication for high blood pressure, and I never had high blood pressure. My blood pressure would go through the roof every time I saw the doctor. It was a conditioned response. I was always told to fear doctors too, from my mother. My mother blamed the doctor because my aunt had a brain tumor and died of brain cancer at 55. And she blamed the doctor. So she always told me the doctor gave her cancer. So this is how I grew up. And so every time like I went to the doctors, oh, what about getting a shot? Little kids getting a shot. They see the needle. They remember last time I got a shot, it hurt like hell. So when the doctor says, that was my son, the doctor would just say, okay, we got to give you a shot today. I ball up, cry, go hysterical, because it hurt before when he got a shot. Now, let me tell you about shots. Shots aren't supposed to hurt. I've had gazillion shots in over my 58 years. If the person who gives you the shot, the nurse or whoever it is, okay, nursing assistant, I don't know, does it the right way, it doesn't hurt at all, okay? If they do it the wrong way, it can leave, and this has happened to me now, it can leave a humongous black and blue, like you've been beaten up on your arm. They can go, I've had nurses or whatever, give me shots. They kept trying over and over again. My arm was all bruised. So I said, let me try your other arm. They put me through hell on earth. Next time I go in for a shot, nurse swaps it, done. It didn't even feel like a pinch. It was like, So you see, if you have a bad experience every time you go in for a shot, what's going to happen? You're going to be petrified of shots. You're not going to get shots. You might avoid shots altogether. You might say, I'm not going to get vaccinated against COVID. I am never getting a shot. I mean, every time I got a shot, it hurt like hell. I had a big bruise, and this has happened to me. I'm living proof. Big bruise for my arm for a week. I'm never getting a shot again. But someone with a good experience, they don't mind shots. See? So, it's like Pavlov's dog, right? The dog hears the bell before the food. Every time the dog gets the food, the bell is ringing. So then, you don't even need to bring the food. You just ring the bell, and the dog salivates. Or you just show the shot, and the child starts screaming. Or you just tell the child, you're going to get a shot today at the doctor's. And the child will not leave the house. You have to bring that child, kicking and screaming. It's all about conditioning. I could go on and on about this subject. But anyway, that's what I have to say about it. We need to uncondition ourselves so that, how do we uncondition ourselves? That could be another whole video. Well, in the case of a shot, because I've just been talking about that, to uncondition that feared response is to have a positive response instead of a negative response. But that takes a lot of time. It's not just a one-time thing, Child goes in, gives a shot. Oh, it didn't hurt that time. That was just one time, though. Think about all the other times it hurt like hell and my arm was bruised. But I think if you have positive reinforcement over and over again, positive experiences, then you can get unconditioned and not be afraid of getting the shot. And that's just with that example of a shot. So, but it takes a long time. It's a long process to get unconditioned. So you won't react, right, when you see the needle, or when you see the doctor come in, without even having the needle. It takes a long time. I mean, it's very easy to get conditioned and very difficult to allow yourself to be unconditioned by positive reinforcement over and over like that. So leave those comments and let me know if you've been conditioned, how you've been conditioned, if you've been unconditioned, what your experiences are. And that's all for this topic today. Okay, take care.